This is Sky World News with Hannah Tallett.
The top stories this morning. Iraq's Prime Minister has rejected calls for the formation of an emergency government of national unity to help counter the insurgency by Islamist extremists. Minister Maliki said it would be a move against democracy. At least 21 people have been killed and dozens injured in an explosion at a shopping centre in the Nigerian capital. And New York's Attorney General is taking legal action against Barclays over allegations its electronic trading division was rigged to give an advantage to certain clients. So let's get more now on the situation in Iraq. I'm joined by Arash Aramesh, the National Security Analyst at California's Stanford University. Good to speak to you, Arash. What's the game plan, do you think, for Minister Maliki?
He's trying to fight this out. He has been called out by his own fellow Shiites. Two large Shiite groups, the followers of the firebrand cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, and also the Supreme Council on Islamic Revolution in Iraq. That is an organization very close to Tehran that is led by Mr. Hakim. Both are pretty big Shiite organizations. They have said they do not want to see a third premiership of Mr. Maliki. In addition to that, sources of emulation, these are grand ayatollahs. These are the popes of the Shiite world, especially the most significant amongst them. Ayatollah Sistani has given a religious fatwa for everyone, to defend their holy sites, but also for government to forget so-called quote unquote, to try to move beyond the mistakes of the past. He didn't ask for Maliki to step down, yet he did not give him his full support. So is Maliki trying to weather the storm? He's trying really hard. He's turned this into a full-fledged sectarian war between Shiites and Sunnis. And now with the threat of the Kurds in the north trying to maybe declare independence, fears in the Arab South are yet ever more pronounced.
He was, though, democratically elected, wasn't he? And if there was another general election today, for example, do you think he would have enough popular support to win?
There is no doubt that the Shiites are a majority in Iraq, and they did win the previous election. They won the election before that, as a matter of fact. Keep in mind, they won coalition governments. Shiites alone could never rule Iraq just by the Maliki coalition. He had to form a coalition with the Kurds to be able to sustain his stay in power. But democracy is not just all about winning elections. It's also about how you treat minorities. It's also how you give the rights to political participation to those who don't agree with you. When Mr. Maliki rounds up his opponents under a 2005 law that allows him to combat terrorism, and then he imprisons people with no charges being brought up against them, with no trials held, and numbers of them in the past few weeks have been executed, well, you can see how this can play easily in the wrong hands in the Sunni world. On the other hand, this ISIS or ISIL is one extremist terrorist organization that has managed to capitalize on the anger and the frustration of Sunni Arab populations in western and northern Iraq and even in eastern Syria.
Arash, do you think that the future of Iraq now lies with the Kurdish fighters or with the Sunnis who haven't yet been wooed by the likes of ISIS in order for those groups to establish stability in the country?
The future of Iraq is in the hands of all Iraqis, Shiite, Sunni, and Kurd. They have to manage to somehow come to an agreement if they want to see a united and unified Iraq, if they want to see one Iraq, not three different Iraqs, they have to come to terms with making concessions and compromises, and being able to reach a political solution to this crisis. In addition to Iraqis coming to terms and coming to the negotiating table, regional players here have to act responsibly. For many reasons that I'm not going to go into, Iraq and Syria are proxy wars between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and also global players. The United States here has a role and a responsibility to not to sit on the sidelines and not to let the Iraqis go down this road without any international help.
And just briefly, what are the chances now of Iraq actually being split up into these sectarian groups?
Well, you got the Kurdish ethnic group to the north, and you got the Shiites and Sunnis, Shiites in the heartland, Sunnis in the west and northwest. It is unclear. I mean, I cannot really accurately predict what's going to happen, but if Baghdad, the capital, does come under assault, And if President Barzani of the Kurdish region, the autonomous region, really goes through with full autonomy or full independence plans, then that is sort of a point of no return, and there will be no more of a unified Iraq. But again, let's not go to doomsday scenarios. Let's see what we can do to keep this country unified, and most importantly, keep the civilian and collateral damage as low as possible, because a lot of people are suffering right now in Iraq and Syria.
Arash Aramesh, many thanks.